Now, I do have to caution everyone. Whatever you've done in the first half, don't move, don't breathe, don't change a damn thing. Don't jinx this. Don't jinx this. But the Minnesota Vikings looking damn good right now, up 10-0 over the Seattle Seahawks. Vikings have been rolling. I believe they have 15 first downs. Seahawks have had 16 total plays, somewhere in there. There's 24 seconds left. Vikings just took a timeout. Hopefully, at minimum, getting a field goal. Go for the throat. Go for the throat, Zim. Try and punch this one in the end zone. 17-0, staying alive. And yeah, who would have thought this was in the hopper? Who would have thought that the Vikings and Kubiak and Zimmer had a perfect game plan coming in Seattle? And Seattle, frankly, like we said, 4-0, sure, respect, but this team did have a lot of flaws, and I think the Vikings are exposing a lot of them. And also, never underestimate the lure of a bye week. So Seattle's on bye week 6. So some of these guys, well, international travel is probably off the table, but yeah, thinking of warmer climates, warmer destinations, who they're going to call, who they're potentially going to get COVID from during the bye week. Yeah, don't sleep on that, because if you look at it from the other side, this was a classic trap game. And the Vikings are playing well. Seattle is being kept at bay as of right now, but again, knocking on all the wood. But frankly, this Vikings team, both on offense and defense, that we saw in the first half, can play with anyone. They can straight up play with anyone in the National Football League. Vikings have the rock right now, second and something. It's being covered up by the Care 11 weather thing. Oh, look, Rudy. So first half so far, getting more screens involved, which is something that Vikings fans have been yelling about through the first quarter of the season. Where are the screens? Where are the screens to Dalvin and Madison and other wide receivers? They're getting involved. Irv Smith is actually getting the rock. Mike Zimmer just going forward on 2 4th downs, just complete YOLO style. And it's good to see. But this is Zimmer ball. Like, he wants to run the ball. He wants to control the clock. Let's see, what's the time of possession right now? All right, so time of possession right now is more than 2-1. 20 minutes, 2 seconds for the Vikings, 9:34 for the Sea Chickens. Whew. Just took a shot at the end zone. Shaquille. Yeah, I feel like the Vikings are just like loading up too. They're just trying to lull the Seahawks to sleep. Dalvin run, short pass, and then they're just going to hit him. They're just going to hit him. Deep strike to Thielen, deep strike to Jefferson. They're just setting it up. And I think eventually Seattle will bite. So Vikings, 15 seconds left. Dan Bailey lining up for a 46-yard field goal. He nailed a 52-yarder before, which, he missed a field goal in the last 2 games. That was there. It's good coverage by Griffin, but that shot was there. All right, so how we feeling? Let us know in the live chat what's going on. Also, so the Vikings need to bench Drew Samia. And I get that Oli Udoh, it was a scratch. He had been dealing with a finger issue all week. All right, so Dan Bailey makes a field goal. Vikings up 13-0. But they got to figure something out at right guard. And that could be Ezra Cleveland, where even though I don't agree with kicking Ezra into guard, he would be a better option than Drew Samia at this point. And I know. We've talked about, what about, it can't get worse than Alfline? Well, it can. That's right. But honestly, do you believe that Cleveland would be as bad as Drew Samia? We're hoping not. And we've seen as the Vikings have started to give some of these rookies opportunities. Oh, look, they're actually good. You look at DJ Wanham, who was a healthy scratch week 1, working the rotation, got his first career sack last week. You look at James friggin' Lynch, who scratch, finally was active and then got after it. He fully bench pressed Damian Lewis, who is a 340-pound guard from LSU. Stud. I really like him. But he walked him backwards straight into Russell Wilson. Yeah, where was this? Yeah, where was this? Where was this Vikings defensive line getting pressure with 4? Where are them getting home? Where are them, like Collinsworth has been talking about? They've been able to stick Harrison and Harris back in cover 2, play 2 deep safeties, really helping out these young cornerbacks. Where has this been? And also, like, a lot of people were crapping on Afadi, where it's like, he doesn't have any sacks through 4 games. Well, Afadi Slow start, first 2 games, only one pressure piece. But then back-to-back, he led the Vikings in pressures with 5. Finally got home. Yes, it was a covered sack, but also he finally got home. And yeah, the Vikings defensive line is doing extremely well because Yannick also technically got a sack, and also Eric Wilson. Eric Wilson, like we said, is the Vikings' best pass rushing linebacker. That includes Anthony Barr when he's healthy. So Wilson can get after it. It's good to see that they're finally starting to use him more in a blitzing type role. So, I mean, this has been, I mean, it's like the 6th inning of a perfect game where you don't want to jinx it. It's been great. No one can breathe. No one just like that. Don't screw this up. Don't screw this up. But who would have ever thought Vikings going on the road? Vikings never win in prime time. They never win Seattle, and then they go into halftime with a 13-0 lead. And they're playing Zimmer ball. Again, this is exactly how Zimmer wants to play ball. He wants to run the ball, control the clock. Defense plays downhill. Don't have to be in catch-up mode. Their tired asses aren't on the field all damn day like they were week 1 and week 2. So this is it. This is it. And like we said, at 0-3, the Vikings obviously were not as bad as 0-3, even though Zimmer's mentor, Bill Parcells, you are what your record says you are. Baloney. And we said sort of tongue-in-cheek, the Vikings are the best 1-3 team in NFL history. We might not be wrong. Is it going to be Hail Mary or is it going to be hook and lateral? No, not so much. There you go. So Vikings in a halftime 13-0 lead. Again, you could honestly have not drawn this up any better. So Cousins has been efficient, 15 of 21, distributing the ball. I think, how many receivers have a catch? It's a lot. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so 7. I mean, B.C. Johnson even had a catch for first down. Justin Jefferson, they're trying to manufacture some touches for him, which is good to see. Adam Thielen had some big-time catches, moving the chains. And overall, I mean, the fact that Seattle has only had the ball for really 2 full possessions, overall, they are keeping Metcalf and Lockett in check. But again, knock on wood, do have to adjust at halftime. I'm sure Seattle's going to start bringing that cheddar. But man. Seattle gets the ball to start the second half. They won the toss and they deferred. But, overall, you could not have scripted this any better. The Vikings feeling good, but also as Collinsworth, I think, overall likes the Vikings, except he just had to get a little dig. He's like, what? Well, they felt good the first half against Tennessee. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, Chris without the H, just straight up copying our guy, Chris Carter. Get out of here. But Dalvin friggin' Cook. Man, Dalvin Cook is good. He's just so amazing. 17 carries for 65 yards and the touchdown. Some really good, tough runs. But the Vikings, so it was super frustrating. The Vikings failed to pick up 3rd and 1 and a 4th and 1. Just like, is this going to be the downfall again? Is this going to be what's wrong with the Vikings? Is that they can't clang and bang with the big boys because they can't just pick up un yardo, por favor. Stop running behind Drew Samia, please. Like, I understand what you're trying to do is run behind Bradbury, run behind Brian O'Neill, but But overall, especially on that Dalvin touchdown. So Vikings obviously run a lot of outside zone. It's about 65% of the run game. But then the other third is man-on-man gap, just like, there's your man. There's your guy. Kick his ass. And that Dalvin touchdown was just a straight-up man concept. ISO, leading, C.J. Ham, down, just like down the 3-hole, just right straight down Broadway. And it was awesome to see because you do love the outside zone scheme. I think it's perfect for the Vikings offensive line personnel. Kubiak, of course, has worked that wondrously for years, as well as Dalvin is great in the scheme, where he's great at deciding if he wants to bang it up the middle, if he wants to bust outside, if he wants to cut back, and he's dynamic in it. But there's just something about old school slobber knocker, hat on a hat, just old school football. It's good. So Dan Bailey's made 2 field goals. See what else here. Yannick the Freak. Yeah, I mean, other than that, we said all week that this team was dangerous, that the Vikings were going to give the Seahawks a much better game than expected. The Seahawks defense was super suspect, as well as they're dealing with injuries. Jamal Adams was out. Bobby Wagner was banged up. And also, they've never really replaced Clowney, even though Clown Shoes is not a premier edge rusher, but he was the best of what Seattle had last year. And also, they got rid of Bruce Irvin a couple seasons ago. He actually brought some stank and some heat. But overall, they're not doing much. Like they're one of the few pass rushes in the league that was actually worse than the Vikings coming into this game. So they're not getting a ton of heat on Kirk, minus that stunt by Benson, and also Jaron Reed is just doing horrible, terrible, atrocious. They should charge him to the fullest extent of the law, thanks to Drew Samia. So that's not good. That's not ideal, but I think overall the Vikings offensive line is holding their own. Riley Reef and Brian O'Neill, Garrett Bradbury, respect. Dakota Dozier's in there as well. And also on the other side of the coin, you can, part of the second half, just watch 91 on defense. He's usually standing up, and they're lining him up over Dwayne Brown. Now, you would think that you would bring him over Brandon Shell, the right tackle, who's been a liability for the Seahawks. Also, Rick Dennison and him had some crossover with the Jets, so he could have a full profile on him. But you notice that Yannick has spent most of his time over left tackle Dwayne Brown. Now, you'd think Dwayne Brown, one of the better left tackles in the game, that you would want Yannick to avoid him. But no, they're going straight at him. And you watch 91 cook on Dwayne Brown, man, it's just a matter of time. Yannick is going to get home. We're calling it right now. Russell Wilson strip sack, a game ender, a game sealer. That's what's going to happen because Yannick absolutely has Dwayne Brown's number. It's phenomenal to see. Also, oh, God. I feel bad for Dak. Like, I have no love lost for the Cowboys, but you never want to see a player just go out like that. It's just terrible, man. That's just really sad. But, the Cowboys having Andy Dalton as their backup, I mean, that's a better backup quarterback situation than a lot of teams in the league. Like, frankly, Andy Dalton would probably play better than a third of the starters out there as of right now. So now you see why the Cowboys were so eager to pay Dalton. Like, how much did Andy Dalton make? He made like $4 million. So I was looking up synonyms for giant because I want to nickname James Lynch the Ginger something, but I want alliteration. So the Ginger Giant, except he's not that big. I mean, yeah, he's 300 pounds, but he's not that. The ginormous Ginger, the prodigious Ginger. Nah, we'll figure it out. Spot rack. Actually, this doesn't matter at all. But you can get hype, Vikings fans. You can just like a little bit of celebration, a little bit of OMG. Now, this doesn't feel good. I mean, hell, yes, the Vikings could blow this thing in the second half. That would be very Vikings. Of course, you're up against Russell Wilson, who's MVP, and who's Houdini. But also, this is the same Russell Wilson that the Vikings, PFR 2018, that the Vikings in 2018, when they were in Seattle on Monday Night Football, the final game of John DeFilippo, they basically boxed in Russell Wilson. Like, Russ did not have a good game. So Russ, 10 of 20 for 72 yards and a pick. And also, they picked off Russell Wilson in each of the past two games. So I don't want to say Zimmer has Russ's number, but Zimmer knows how to contain Russell Wilson to a degree. And yes, you can say, 0-6 in the last 6 meetings. Don't care. What's that have to do tonight, man? Also, I'm just waiting for Harrison Smith. He's just out there, just lurking. Sam Petraglia, $5 super chat. Woo! And also, like we said, if and when the Vikings do pull this off, there will be some Vike flair. Yeah, I'll figure out the wig by the end of the game. And also, this is something that we had been preaching about through the tough times when the Vikings were 0-3, when the Vikings barely beat the Texans. And I did feel like there was a lot of Vikings fans who were on the, well, let's just lose all the games and get Trevor Lawrence. Now, I understand where they're coming from, doing whatever you can to get a franchise quarterback. But also, you don't. the Chiefs were 12-4 the season before they drafted Mahomes. The Ravens were 7-9 before they got, or 9-7 before they got Lamar. The Seahawks were 7-9 before they drafted Russ in the third freaking round. The Patriots were 8-8 the season before they drafted Brady in the sixth round. 8-8 under Pete Carroll, by the way. And also there's one. Drew Brees was a second round pick. Yeah, you don't have to go 1-15 to get your quarterback of the future. Now, I understand that the heart is in the right place and want to see this team do well, but this team has too much talent. Despite no Danielle Hunter, despite all the injuries on defense, despite Michael Pierce opting out with COVID, this team had too much talent to just roll over and die. And now we're seeing this on national TV. All the haters and the losers have to be like, oh, except you know what the narrative will be tomorrow is that, the Seahawks just failed to show up. Please. Sam Pangdrella, $3 in Super Chat. The Dingy Gringy for James Lynch. That's pretty good. Aline Adkins, the Ginger Snap. Oh, that's good. Dreamster Vino, 95.95. James Lynch, damn straight. The Crimson Behemoth. Oh, man. Yeah, I should... Oh, purple preach ball hauling up for all y'all in the live chat. What is up? Lots of OGs in here. Purple Rain, Wausau, Wisconsin. What's going on? It's great to see you, man. So again, tranquilo. No one move, no one breathe for the second half. But again, this team was too good. This team can do some damn good things. This team could steal the 7th seed. This team could still contend for the division. Beat Green Bay week 8. Take care of the Falcons. All of a sudden, you're 4-3. You're flying high. Woo! Let's go. All right, so that's the halftime show. We'll be back for the post-game show as well as our 5 winners and losers video. So keep Skol alive. Don't move. Production value.